Hi, this is Jack Stanley, and I wanted to talk about the Climax record. Now, I have made a recording already here on YouTube on this channel on the history of the Columbia record. But there's an awful lot more to the history of Columbia, and of course the Climax record is a very important part of it. And I went into most of the history of the Climax record as well, but I didn't go into too much detail of too many of the Climax records. Climax made its appearance in probably late July, early August of 1901 and was gone most probably by July of August of 1902. So a rather short-lived label. And of course it was made by the Burt Company, which used another company, of course, that they made within their organization, of course, called the Globe Record Company. And Climax was basically the Columbia label until Columbia got patents. It wasn't until the Jones patent came out in December of 1901 that Columbia actually had a right to a degree to make disc records. Of course, a lot of things would happen in between. But I wanted to give you some of the labels for Columbia. Now, for Climax. The thing is, Climax, Columbia, same thing in many regards. But the thing is that the Climax label has 3 distinct labels, but 6 different variations, which is very important. Now, I want to show you the first label. Very simple. It's embossed, if you can see here. I don't know if you can. If you look here, you'll see the embossed information, maybe. It says Climax record. Take my word on it. The next, of course, is the Climax label with the paper label on top of the embossed label. So if you look carefully here, if I put it at an angle, you will probably see the embossed information underneath the label. Now the third variation is that same label without anything underneath it. It's pure and simple and a label. Then there was the massive raid at the Globe Record Company through the dealings of Eldridge Reeves Johnson, in which they got a hold of the masters of Climax. And they stamped each Climax record with VTM, which you'll probably see here. There you are. There's the VTM on the wax on the Climax record. That's variation number 4. Now there's 2 more variations with the last label, which is this style of label. Very different. It's the broken ring. And this was the last label used. It will either have VTM on it or not. If it does not, it is a record made well into 1902 and toward the end of the Climax record. So it's an interesting history, an interesting label that isn't talked about much because the records are quite rare. You don't see them very often. But it's a very important and integral part in the beginnings of the recording industry. Thank you.